Start it.
Welcome everybody. Today we're going to be making what is called the Texas chocolate sheet cake. This recipe, I don't think she originated. I meant to do the research and it slipped my mind during everything else. But it was made famous by Lady Bird Johnson when she was the first lady of Texas prior to being first lady of the United States when Lyndon Johnson was president. So it is a great cake to take to big gatherings. So if you're going to a potluck or you're going to park or you're feeding a lot of people, it's a really good cake for that. One of the things, the recipe originally calls for an 11 by 17 pan, and those are incredibly hard to find. So what I do is that since most of the time I make this cake, it's for a party or a gathering. It's not something I make to just have around the house. I get 11 by 13 roasting pan, the disposable one, so I don't have to worry about getting my dish back. And I get one with the high side, okay, so that it can hold the cake and with the extra batter because it is it is a little bit more than a regular 9 by 13 can hold. But if you get the one with the high sides, it works just fine. So the first thing we've got to do is the recipe was posted on the site. So if you need the recipe, it's been posted several places, plus I can send it to you later. We've got to grease first we're going to turn on our oven, which needs to be 350. And then we got to grease our pan. So I'm going to grab a piece of shortening. I like to use the shortening sticks that Crisco's does. And oh yeah, wash your hands, which I did before I went on camera. And just, grease your pan, rub it all in there. Make sure you get in, especially if it's one of these disposable ones, you got to really get in the crevices on the corners. So grease your pan. You can also use a spray, the cooking spray, if you spray it really heavily, but I'm almost out of that. So I just was like, I'll just use the regular shortening. And one thing about cooking you're going to know is you get your hands dirty. You can't really cook and keep clean hands, so you tend to wash your hands a lot. So we're rubbing that all over. I need a little bit more.
So I have posted the ingredients on the Discord general event chat. After this has been streamed and is on YouTube, I will edit the description down below to have those ingredients for you. So if you're watching on the YouTube stream, I will put it. It'll be in the doobly-doo. And then I want to apologize to Nexus again for. I just kind of glanced over and I saw Starshine and I didn't see your picture with the green Nexus. And I'm so sorry for mixing them up.
My mom always used to put the shortening on a paper towel and rub it, but on these pans, especially with these corners that have the ridges, it doesn't get, if you have the paper towel there, it really doesn't get in the ridges well enough. So I use my hands, and there's really not else you can do about that. So
I have a quick question.
Nice and greasy.
Question. Go for it.
What's the question?
Whenever I bake, when I have to grease the pan, I always use a mixture of butter and flour. Is that just a personal preference to use the Crisco, or does it add a different kind of flavor?
It doesn't really add any kind of flavor. I've used butter and flour. If I'm doing a crusted, like a pound cake, I'll use sugar and butter. With this recipe, I usually just spray my pan with Pam, but I didn't really check to see how much I had. You don't need to grease and flour. You just need to grease. And if you're cooking and you do what the recipe tells you to do, when you grease and flour, the flour does leave a little bit of a crust on the outside. But with just greasing it, as long as you're doing it really well, it doesn't leave that crust. So, but it still keeps it from sticking. But again, look at what your recipe calls for. This one actually just says grease the pan. So that's what I do.
Thank you for that.
And thank you for, as you hear from Her Majesty Surreal, if you've got a questioning time, you are more than welcome to unmute your mic and ask that, just as Iris did. Thank you very much, Iris. If you'd like to be featured where she can see you, or where the YouTubes can see you, go ahead and turn on your video as well. if you're cooking along with her, which was definitely encouraged, and you have all the ingredients, flip on your video, cook right along with her. Coming up after this is going to be Sir Gavin. He'll be talking about more feasty stuff. He's also one of the raiders. And then after Sir Gavin, we'll have Ayanka making the main course for tonight's feast.
Okay, and this is definitely not a healthy recipe because the next thing we do is we take 2 sticks of butter and we melt it with 4 tablespoons of baking cocoa, unsweetened cocoa, just like Hershey's, Nestle's. I try to use Ghirardelli's when I can find it, but I can't always find it. And a cup of water. So we're gonna throw that on the stove and melt. So yeah, if you're looking for healthy baking, don't talk to me. Everything I make usually has 2 or 3 sticks of butter in it, and a lot of my recipes have heavy cream, and it's just
it's why it's delicious, and
That's
all
why
love it.
I'm so fluffy.
But shout out to, I think it's Starshine, who turned on her video, and it looks like she's baking right along with you.
All right.
I see
Absolutely.
her counter and things. She also painted along with us last night with Midnight and Inebriart. We did this really interesting, mind warping painting that was a lot of fun. So she's participating right along. It's good to see her turn on her video and show us what she's doing. Feel free to continue to do that through the hour.
So you have the 2. Yes, please feel free to share. So I've got my 2 sticks of butter melting. I'm adding 4 tablespoons of cocoa. So here's your Hershey's cocoa. Oh, I'll put it around.
Now, it
This is
looks
not
like
a
you
commercial.
leveled, so it's not
Yes,
heat.
I leveled it on the side of the pan. I do that too. So you end up with a perfectly level tablespoon just by putting it on the inside of the container. And that way you don't get another knife dirty. But yes, good call, Claudia. I just level it on the side of the container.
And that's going into your butter mixture that you're melting?
Going into the butter mixture on the stove, which you can't really see. So it's 2 sticks of butter that are melting, and then your 4 tablespoons of cocoa. This cake is not an especially chocolatey cake. If you're looking for a really, really rich, decadent chocolate cake, this isn't it, but it's still really good.
Was there water that we were supposed to put in the pan too?
2 sticks of butter, 4 tablespoons of cocoa, and then we're going to put in a cup of hot water.
Hot water. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for joining and cooking along and asking those wonderful questions. We do appreciate the interaction. You'll have to tell us after feast how that turned out and if it was as yummy as I'm remembering Surreal's chocolate cake is, because I think she took us out to Wickerwood once.
You've had this several times at park.
Okay. And I drooled over it every single time.
So, okay. Well,
I would like to announce that this is the first time I've actually baked anything at my new house. So this is extra special for me. Thank you.
That's always stressful, baking in an oven for the first time because you don't know if it cooks hot or slow. So it's this oven in this place cooks a little slow. So it always takes time to work that out. But yeah, so well, good. Congratulations on having a new home.
Thank you.
Congrats on the new place and on the courage to bake and share your baking experience with us while we attempt to do a Julia Child in your new place.
Oh, that's right. I was going to do Swedish Shelf. The dove. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not helpful. You actually have someone who's trying to follow along.
So you're going to stir it a little and again, I know y'all can't really see. Well, maybe you can. So on the stove, on a low heat, not or like medium low. You don't want it real high because you don't want to get super hot super fast. You want it to melt and blend together and just kind of stir in your cocoa to your water and your butter. And then also, you add hot water, obviously it helps everything melt faster. So we stir. It's nothing like watching something, cook. It takes forever, right? That's why they pre-do everything on the cooking shows.
Yep. So we'll feel free to. Well, you know what? We had some more questions come in actually. Yeah, and I'm so glad that they did. So let me pull those up for you. So while we're waiting for things to melt, you can answer some more questions.
Okay. So what's the question?
So the first question was, are UFOs real?
Am I what?
Are UFOs real?
I don't know. I think the universe is humongous, and I think the concept that we're the only intelligent life there would be an entire waste of space because, the fact that it's basically infinite in size and we're it. Talk about putting all your eggs in one basket. And right now, personally, I don't think that we're doing that great as far as humanity goes, treating each other well. So,
And as a
I
crafter,
hope they're real. I think, I hope that they're real. But do I, I don't know. I think that's.
and as a crafter, I took that question as yes, UFOs are totally real because they stand for unfinished projects.
Oh, well, I
Unfinished
have those all
objects.
over the house, so definitely.
All right, your next question. Who runs Bartertown?
Oh, Master Blaster runs Bartertown.
What do you think has been the best part of your reign so far?
Giving out awards last night. That was fun.
Wasn't the engagement?
Well, no, that was amazing, but that was a personal thing. As far as the reign goes, everyone, I knew what I was getting into. I knew it was going to be stressful. I knew it was going to have a lot of garbage that goes with it. But the giving out awards is the fun part. Then the next day, of course, you get texts from people going, why didn't I get that award? And you're like, okay. But for that moment, it's a lot of fun. So, all right. So I'm turning off my heat. We're all melted. We should have everything smooth. No cocoa sticking to the bottoms or the sides. I can't really lift it up for you to see or it'll spill everywhere. Okay.
We can see it perfectly fine.
Can you see it? Yeah, so you want to make sure there's no cocoa stuck to the sides. All right, and we're going to pour it into our mixing bowl. Pour it into our mixing bowl. All right. Okay, so to our mixing bowl and our chocolate melted stuff, we're going to add 2 cups of flour and 2 cups of sugar. So I've got everything out. Cooking tips, you should always have your ingredients out and ready to go before you get started. It just makes everything smoother. And then you can also, like I said, make sure you have everything on hand. You don't want to be in the middle of cooking and find out, oh, I need this and I don't have it and I have to leave to go to the store if I want to finish. So this one, obviously flour, the back of a butter knife, and you just run it across the top to level it out. And you don't have to sift your flour. Typically, you only really need to sift flour when you're doing really delicate pastries. So things like cookies and cakes, you don't really need to sift your flour, especially with modern flours. A lot of times people had to sift flours in the old days because the flours they would get from the store weren't as well milled as what we use today. And it's just general all-purpose flour. And then we have 2 cups of sugar.
Are we hand mixing or using electric mixer?
I'm using an electric mixer. I'm using my wonderful KitchenAid that makes me so happy. So same thing with our sugar. We're going to level it off, make sure it's all smooth. Pour that in.
If someone doesn't have this KitchenAid, can they use a hand mixer?
Oh, sure. I used to use a hand mixer for years. Yes, definitely. Cakes are very forgiving. Meringues and things that require lots of mixing, those you pretty much have to have. You can use a hand mixer for those too, or whipped cream. I'm just spoiled. But yes, you don't actually even really need an electric mixer for a cake. You could use a whisk, okay? Because cakes are very forgiving. You're pretty much only mixing things until everything is incorporated. And then you also, what was the word I was going to say? You don't want to overmix. If you overmix, it kind of deflates your batter. So cakes are one of those batters that you can use a whisk. We're spoiled. So if you have just a hand electric mixer, that's fine. If you have just a whisk, you're going to have to work a little bit harder, but that's fine too. But you don't want to overmix it. Although, again, cakes are forgiving. So if you overmix it a little, it's not going to kill you like some recipes will.
What consistency or what will it look like when I know I mixed it enough?
You can't see any more of the salt and the sugar. It's all smooth and everything is brown. It's going to look like brown liquid and it's going to be consistent. Oh, it would help if I plugged in my mixer. All right, so I'm going to mix it on a low speed. And I'll show you what it looks like. You just want it smooth and not lumpy. So I started it with low because if you put it in on high off the bat with the mixer, it usually spews flour all over your kitchen. So I am going to bump it up just a little for just a few seconds.
Kid alike, who also wanted to see Surreal spray flour all over her kitchen.
Right. If you turn on your mixer when your flour is on, and you turn it on too high right off the bat, you get flour all over your kitchen. I have learned that the hard way. So, all right. So for our viewers, I'm going to just tilt the camera. You can see, I don't know if you can just see, it's a thick chocolate liquid. And there's no lumps. And you don't see any of the flour and sugar in it anymore. So it's a smooth, thick chocolate liquid. All right, so next, we're gonna add 2 beaten eggs, okay? So a baking tip for your eggs, they incorporate into your recipe better if they're room temperature. So I took these out at 11. It's okay if you didn't. Okay, it's not going to hurt anything if you didn't. It's just slightly better if you get your eggs to room temperature. I'm not 100% on the science why, and I'm not going to pretend that I know that, but I do know it does work a little bit better. So I have my bowl. I have my eggs.
I also put them in a bowl and ran hot water over mine just to take off that chill from the refrigerator.
Oh, that's a good idea. But yeah, the chill of the refrigerator, especially if you're putting eggs into something warm, you want to go ahead and get them to room temperature. Otherwise, they curdle sometimes. So breaking up my
everything with my baking.
And slightly beat. So we're beating our eggs like we're doing scrambled eggs. All right.
I'm gonna check real quick and go, hey Laura.
Put them in our mixture. Okay. Okay, so we have our egg. And then 1/2 cup buttermilk. Usually I get a pint, but the grocery store didn't have it by the pint this time. So I've got a whole quart of butter. It's a quart of buttermilk. 2 quarts, it's 1/2 gallon. It's a good thing I actually really like buttermilk. So I'll actually drink this. I don't know that anybody else likes buttermilk. But not a lot at once. You can't really chug that stuff. But see, and notice I'm looking, cut it down, get it eye level, make sure it's all flat. You want your measurement correct. There we go, that's better. So it needs to be buttermilk because the raising agent is the buttermilk and the baking soda. So we're adding our eggs and buttermilk, 1 teaspoon soda, and 1 teaspoon vanilla. So we've got our buttermilk. That says, wait, it says half cup. Oh, it's a half cup of buttermilk. I almost put in a cup. Sorry, I am a little nervous, and I'm trying to move quickly so we have time to get it baked. So it's a half cup of buttermilk.
As long as you can get it into the oven in the next 40 minutes, it'll be fine because
you have to ice it while it's hot. So if people want to see how the icing goes on, I got to get it baked and then mix the icing and put that on.
Okay. So, well, if for whatever reason it doesn't and you do have to kind of get that icing on later, we have Raider presentations stacked up all the way till 5 o'clock tonight.
Oh, so I can bump in and go, yo, get out of my space. No. Yeah, my Raider buddies will understand.
Yes. Well, see, you have Sir Gavin coming up next, and he is on channel and listening. And so I imagine if you've put it in and your time is run up, but you still have like 15 minutes of baking time left, we can probably ask Sir Gavin if he wants to jump in early, and then we can take a little break from him midway through to do your icing and stuff.
Okay, the icing is real easy. So we have a teaspoon of baking soda, again, not baking powder, or it won't rise. Baking soda, you're adding the buttermilk, that's your raising agent. And a teaspoon of vanilla. I am very spoiled. I live near near Mexico. I can get real Mexican vanilla. It actually makes a huge difference. If you can get, now your regular grocery store vanilla extract will work, but Mexican vanilla it really is better. So, and I do tend to use a different teaspoon for my wet and dry. I just started doing that. I don't know really have a logical reason why. It seemed to make sense to me, I guess. All right, so we're gonna turn the mixer back on. Yeah. Just double checking we got everything in there. And again, start slow or you end up with slop all over your kitchen.
Again, hit the like button if you wished Surreal had turned it on too fast. Talking to YouTube, hope hit the like button.
Okay, you don't need to mix it too much. You're just incorporating all of the egg. Make sure the egg and the soda are incorporated. All right, and you've got your greasy pan. Take out your beater. This is where my daughter is usually hovering. She's with her dad this weekend. She would be usually hovering around the kitchen waiting for this part because she likes the beaters. And if I wasn't on video, I'd probably lick it too. But
as long as the beater doesn't go back in the batter, I say you should totally lick the batter.
I'm not gonna do that on video. I might lick the bowl though. So I have my rubber spatula. These are the best for cooking. All right. So we're gonna pour it into the greased pan. Scrape the sides. Make sure you get it all in there. Scrape your sides.
Now, I only had a 9x13 pan, so I'm saving some of mine that I'm going to put in a cupcake pan.
That's perfect. Do that, because if you fill up the 9x13 that has just a regular size, it's going to be too big, and it'll overflow. Because the recipe does call for an 11x17 or 2 pans. So yeah, I modify it by getting the disposable 9x13 with higher sides so that I don't lose my rise. It doesn't overflow all over my oven. All right, so we're gonna pop this in the oven. recipe calls for 20-25 minutes, but again, that's for an 11 by 17 pan. Plus my oven does cook a little slow, so I'm gonna set the timer for 25 minutes and we'll check it then and see. I think it's gonna take closer to 35 minutes, but I'm gonna go, in fact, I know it's gonna take, but I wanna make sure that people are adjusting to their ovens. So again, the original recipe says 20-25. Keep an eye on it. So I'm setting mine for 25. My dog's barking at the cat going across our driveway. Pepper, he's not gonna hurt us. Okay, and so yeah, taste the batter. It's good. It's good. So I mean, there's really nothing else to do right now while the cake bakes, except for lick your bowl. This is when I usually do my dishes. I just got on my gym. Yeah, I just got chocolate on my chin. All right, does anybody else have any questions? While I pig out on cake batter. That's good. Awkward silence. Everybody's quiet. Any questions?
I'm trying to do my dishes to get ready for the
Right?
frosting. I need.
Right? I'm just like, people don't want to watch me do my dishes. So, yeah. But I also don't have a dishwasher, so I tend to obsessively clean while I cook, because if you wait to the end, there's just two piles of dishes and there's really even not even counter space for that. So I am going to do my dishes. If anybody wants to keep chatting with me, I mean, I'll move the camera so you're over my sink and people can talk to me while I'm doing my dishes.
Are there any substitutions you can put into this recipe? Like, for instance, using bar chocolate instead of cocoa, or using a different kind of flour?
Sure. I mean, it's unsweetened cocoa, right? So unsweetened chocolate. The difference is that the cocoa, you would have to reduce the amount of butter, because in bar chocolate, it's cocoa mixed with emulsified with a fat, and that's what gives it the bar consistency. So if you're going to use bar chocolate, you would need to reduce the amount of butter, or it's going to be a real greasy cake. And I'm not sure how that will turn out. So I'm not good at math conversions. I know that some people who are really, really, really expert scientist people would tell you exactly how much to reduce the butter by if you're choosing to use bar chocolate instead of the cocoa. The different kind of flour, I've always just used regular flour, but if you want to experiment, I mean, most of baking is trying something and seeing if it works. I mean, I follow a recipe, but I modify recipes all the time. Just to see, hey, let's, if this turns out, let's try that. Or maybe it'd be good if I added this inside of it. So sometimes you're just following the recipe religiously. So if you're a new baker, definitely follow your recipes until you kind of get an idea of how things work. And once you're more comfortable, then you can start experimenting and seeing this, this works, this doesn't. See how different things affect what you're making. So, did that answer your question? So, yeah.
Great question. Thank you, Iris. Again, if you've got any questions, you're welcome to unmute or turn on your camera. Starshine, did you have a question?
Sure.
Yeah. Now, do you mostly use cookbooks? Like many years ago, I would use like family passed down cookbooks, but now it seems like everybody's turning to Google to find recipes.
This
Okay.
recipe I got from my mother, who got it from a lady at our church when I was in elementary school. And then, so I have a bunch of family recipes in this one.
Is that handwritten?
Yeah, I wrote them out. Yeah, so they're all handwritten from recipes, and you can see they're used because there's stains all over them.
Chocolate.
Right? So there's chocolate. So here's my chicken and dumplings recipe. And then whenever, and this one, when I modify it or changes, I write the change and the date and the reason why. So like, here's my great Aunt Edna's chicken and dumplings recipe. And I have modifications at the bottom as in what I've done to change it.
So the next time you come over, can I request the chicken and dumplings?
Oh, sure. Those are easy. I tried to show people how to do it in pictures, and it didn't work very well. It's something that you really have to see someone do, because if you try to describe how you roll it out and cut them out, it's kind of like, what? But yeah, no, chicken and dumplings are easy.
So we'll have to do this again, I think.
Okay. So yeah, that's what it was when I was trying to do the chicken and dumplings. It was for Shelby's birthday that I made them, because that's one of her favorites. That I realized that setting it up in the kitchen and trying to record without somebody to hold it, the phone, is really hard. So I just used my laptop, and I kind of built a stand out of books to make it work better. But yes, I have.
Well, it seems to be working really well.
Women in my family live forever. Meaning, like, my great-great-grandmother didn't pass away till she was 103, and her sister died when she was 106. So the chicken and dumpling recipe is from my Aunt Edna, my great-great-grandmother's sister. And
so this is a like 100-year-old recipe.
Recipes that have been in my family for generations. And then. But yeah, and then but to go back to Star Sunshine's question, I do also get a lot of recipes online, because you can search and get reviews. I mean, sometimes when you get in a cookbook, you know, if you've never had anyone who's made it before, you're not really sure what you're going to get. And so All Recipes is a really good source of free online recipes, and there'll be reviews, and the people who have made the recipe talk about what worked, what didn't, or modifications that they've made. And that's where I get a lot of recipes for things that, like, you know, really out of my box that I've never made before. And then you just try it out. Most of the time they work, sometimes they don't. So.
Next question that came in from earlier, unless someone currently connected has a question.
Okay.
So the next question that I have from my batch here said, where do you want the kingdom to be in 2 years?
Well, my first goal is to get us back to playing in person. Obviously, I mean, COVID it sucks for everybody, and there's no predicting how long it's going to take and where it's going to be. What I would like to see, of course, I'm heavily involved in Spring War. I would like Spring War to be the premier event of all of Amtgard. It's not just enough to have a lot of people show. We need to have a very high quality event, which, you know, Feasts, our Raiders got that covered. I love my company. I'm not the Feast person. That's Gavin and Greasy and Crom and Catherine. And well, actually all of them do it. So, but the quality of feast and food is incredibly important. And then the quality of battle games is incredibly important. I would like us to be as economically, you know, we right now, you know, Spring War is expensive and it's our biggest fundraiser. We did make money this year. We did not make quite as much as we had in previous years, just because some years different costs come up that are different. Like 2 years ago when we had the hay fiasco, that cost us a lot of money and we didn't make as much money on the event. Or that was 3 years ago. I would like us to see a warmer, friendlier kingdom. I think that I don't want to say names. I don't want to call people out, but it gets frustrating seeing the grudges just continue. And it's like, if all you are here to do is to ruin someone else and point out their mistakes, then maybe you should just stay home, which, you know, is not a nice thing to say, but mean, let's go back and look at, why do we really love this game? Why do we really play this game? Why do we spend the hours and hours and hours making things and designing things and thinking of things and practicing our swings and lifting weights in the gym and all the things that are doing the paperwork that's required to keep the kingdom going? And it should be about us having fun. And last night during the Sparkle Q&A, Midnight talked about that moment when you first showed up at Amtgard, and it was amazing. And how do we recapture and keep that moment? And then how do we make sure we're creating that moment for everyone else? I just wish that we could take a step back sometimes and ask ourselves, is this really why I'm here? Let's get back to love the game and not trying to hold grudges and be angry and admit that I'm right and you're wrong. That's what I would like to see.
Thank you very, very much.
I
Do we
see
have any other?
In and out. Thad, do you have something to say?
That was at work. He's been listening in.
No, I'm currently working and just keeping this in the background, and realized that I had somehow left the voice chat. I was like, it's been really quiet for a while.
So he's just joining for our wonderful background.
Almost done.
Awesome. Thank you. Do we have, I know that we've got a visiting monarch on channel, and someone from Wetlands. I see Sir Gavin on there. I guess let's open this up for kind of conversation. Where would you see
Heck yeah.
your kingdom?
It's our first time. I mean, we can see people.
Yeah, so Majesty.
Before you do that, may I ask how much time has passed? I forgot to set my timer.
I'm at 13 minutes and 30 seconds left, and I set my timer for 25 minutes. So that's, let me math. 25 minus 10 is going to be, it's so about 12 minutes and 30 seconds have passed.
Thank you. And just so that those of you who are just joining us, Starshine is baking along with Surreal, so having that time is important. Admiral, I see you on the channel. I think you're listening. Hope you're listening in. Yep, I'm here. Awesome. Are you feeling comfortable to turn on your?
Okay. I always put my hair up when I cook, otherwise my hair is in the food.
So then let's
anybody else
ask
has long hair,
a soft question then. Admiral, you've just become a kingdom. Where would you like to see your kingdom in 2 years?
Oh, that is a good question. In 2 years, I would like to obviously see us be playing as we used to, with hopefully COVID being stable at that point, hopefully gone, with the vaccine and it being completely safe for all of us. I would like for us to be able to not only visit each other's parks again, but be able to leave our kingdom and visit other kingdoms. I also, in 2 years, I'm hoping that we can get into a groove of the sort of the cornerstones of what we're creating in this moment. There's a lot of sort of landmark decisions we're making as a kingdom right now, and it's going to be basically just getting used to the choices that we're making, right? We have an emergency all thing going right now for the kingdom language Quora. It does not seem like there's a chance it will fail, so that's good. But there are changes. There are lots of changes that we've never had to even so much as contemplate before. So we have to fully understand them and integrate them into the way that we run things. So it's an adjustment period. I'm hoping by 2 years this becomes the norm, and that it's not a lot of people getting confused on old methods and things like that. I'm hoping by that 2-year mark that we will be well established in our roles and with the community and how everything functions. So I'm hoping for normalcy and for consistency. And I'm hoping that the leaders that come after me will be able to sort of pass on the torch of what we're starting now to make sure that we don't lose the progress we're making now. So I guess that's it.
Thank you so much, Admiral. She's from the Nine Blades, which is a kingdom out in Canada. They recently got promoted to kingdom status. Like 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
Not for like 2 weeks ago now. Well, cool. Thank you so much. Are you ready for your next hardball question?
Me? Sure.
Yes.
Bring it. At this point, I'm ready.
We talked about your vision and then Admiral's vision for her kingdom, where you want the kingdom to be in 2 years. But where would you want Amtgard as a whole to be in 2 years?
I think Amtgard, we obviously, I mean, we're going through a lot of changes, right? And then we're also in the middle of we're waiting to see the outcome of this, the copyright ownership. It's not a suit, it's a court action. Obviously, I would like that to be over and Amtgard, the name, belong to us. I think that we need to find a middle ground in Amtgard. I don't want to say that we need to ignore the progressiveness. We want to make sure that all of our people of color and our LGBTQs and everyone feels safe and welcome, and that we're not, promoting racism or exclusion in any way, shape, or form. But we want to also make sure we're protecting, we protect everyone. Obviously, I don't really want to protect racists, but so that's not what I'm saying. But we want to make sure that instead of being so far that, oh yeah, we need to let everybody say whatever they want, or hey, you need to watch absolutely everything you say, which of course, you don't want to have racism, you don't want to have exclusionary, but it needs to be equally enforced. And I'd like to see us in the middle, of course, protecting the rights of everyone without being so extreme. I also think we need to recruit a lot. Videos like what Nine Blades put together and Viridian Outlands put together for their presentation to the com were incredible. And if we need to up our numbers, get more people in excited and involved, and get people excited to play again and coming out again. So I mean, I think overall Amtgard needs to work on finding middle ground and recruiting, making sure, the middle ground does protect the people who need protecting, because there are people, we do have groups that have been marginalized and they do need to be included. And of course that's important. But we don't want to exclude people and other people in our efforts to try to make sure everyone feels included. So I don't know. I'm skating through real dangerous area and I'm trying to be real careful about what I'm saying.
So these were probably those hard questions that you would have hoped for your Queen Q&A
right?
On Friday.
I just think that
I found these on Facebook after.
I mean, I think divesting of the Amtgard main Facebook group is important. I think the CK itself Facebook is a horrible place for business. It's not conducive to conducting business. It's a social group. And so we have no control over the algorithms that make sure you receive your notifications in the order. Like Jason had posted something on the BOD page that I didn't see in my notifications. It didn't come up. So, this was something I needed. And I'm just grateful I happened to go look there this morning because I was looking for the time for the BOD meeting. And I was like, I missed this post entirely. Oh my goodness. So we need to move into, Facebook is great for recruitment. It's great for building excitement and helping people socialize within Amtgard. But as far as Amtgard concerned, we need to get to a communication tool that's not Facebook based, because it's horrible for actual conducting of business. So I'm really, really grateful to Torque to adding the email capabilities so that we can email people directly when something, when we had our all thing yesterday morning, I received an email with the agenda. I received an email with the Google Meets. And that's what we need to move to. That's actual communication, not, hey, we posted it on Facebook, why didn't you see it? And because that's not very effective. People have to be very, very proactive to make sure they don't miss things that way. as far as I'm losing my train of thought. But I think Amtgard needs to recruit. We need to, move away from Facebook as our primary business conduction tool, and we need to, protect the people that need to be protected without marginalizing everyone else.
Thank you very, very much. We've got about 15 minutes left. How are you on your cake timer? How long until that cake comes out of the oven?
45 seconds. This is gonna work. Okay.
So 5 minutes.
4 minutes and 45 seconds. So while I have my that depends if it's ready when it comes out. Ooh, wait, I gotta check to make sure it's done. Oh, that's right. It might not be completely done. How long will the
frosting take to put together?
The frosting does not take very long. You just got to wait to melt the butter, which is I'm going to go ahead and start doing in that 5 minutes. So,
all right. So these 5 minutes, we're starting on the frosting. So Starshine, I know that you were baking along at home there in the Empire of Rivermore. So go ahead and start getting your icing.
So you're going to want a medium-sized pan because we're going to make the icing in the pan. We don't use a mixer for the icing. Okay. So we're getting our medium-sized pan, put it on low temperature, and melt that last stick of butter, because, this one calls for 3 sticks.
The whole recipe calls for 3 sticks. Right. 2 of the sticks are already in the cake, and that cake is in the oven.
Right.
And unlike traditional cakes, like for me, when I bake a cake, it's from a box, but I have to wait for it to fully cool before I get my from the plastic tin frosting to put it on, otherwise it melts everywhere. And you're saying that this frosting needs to be put on while the cake is still.
That is 100% correct. Every other cake in the whole world that I know of, you wait until the cake is 100% completely cooled before you put the icing on or the icing melts. This icing, and I'm not the science person, so if you ask me why, I can't tell you. This icing goes on the cake hot. If you wait till it's cold, it doesn't set. So the heat, I guess, using logic, the heat makes the icing set. So you want it to go on while the cake is hot. Oh, you got people bringing you food. Look at you. So after this stream, I'm going to ditch out on poor Gavin for a few minutes and go get myself some lunch.
I'm going to eat in front of you all on camera. So Starshine was sharing with us a bit of video. It looked like she was melting the butter.
Yeah, let's melt our butter.
Yes. So we've got a video of her in her pan, and she is melting the butter, giving it a nice stir there.
I officially have chocolate stains on this tunic, but I already have, you can't see, I already have stains from the bottoms of pans, char stains. So this is my work tunic. So I guess a chocolate stain adds right in. Yeah. That's what I get for eating the batter, getting chocolate all myself. Yeah.
I knew the minute.
All right.
I knew the minute I saw her in there.
What?
Get busy.
Oh, yeah.
That's her work uniform, y'all.
That's my work uniform, right?
So Starshine, I think you had a question?
No, I was going to make a comment. I'm all messy too. I should have been smart. And I'm the one that a couple years ago bought your food fundraiser aprons.
Oh.
And I should have been wearing that.
Fun. I should wear an apron and I don't. Mostly because I don't like things that tie around my waist because I'm fat. So I'm like, I don't want anything that ties around my waist. And then when I'm cooking, I have a horrible habit of, instead of wiping my hands on the the dish towel that's over by the oven, I wipe them on my shirt. So after I cook, the back part of my shirt is always wet and covered with stuff because I've wiped my hands on my shirt, and I'm like, I do wash my hands many, 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 many times, so I'm like, I shouldn't do that. It's probably not very sanitary, and people are grossed out now, but I have a really bad
butter melted. Do I take it off the oven?
Yeah,
I mean, stove.
Your butter is melted. You don't want to overheat it. Mine's still melting because I had it on low.
I feel about wiping your hands on your shirt.
Do you do that too? I do that so bad.
I am a very bad habit of doing that.
Right? And I'm like, I know I shouldn't do this. And I try to stop myself, and I do it. I wipe my hands on my shirt, and then I'm like, this is bad. And then I'll go, but I usually put on a clean shirt before I cook and then take it off afterwards because, yeah, I know what I do.
My father used to say that if you cook and you don't make a mess, you're not doing it right.
Well, I try to clean up as I go because my kitchen's really small, and like I said, I don't have a dishwasher, and so I do try to keep things clean as I go. So my brother is a horrific messy cook. My timer did just go off, but I'm gonna give it a few seconds because I know it's not done. But if you're cooking yours, you might check it. But yeah, my brother, he's a horrible messy cook, and cleaning the kitchen after he cooks, it's like, oh my God. It's like, Rob, really? Can you not wipe up a single thing while you're going? Anyway, so to test, the butter's done. Take it off the oven. It's starting to boil. Test your cake. I use kebabs, the kebab holders. This is what I tend to use. It's really thick. It's smaller than a knife. So you're going to, check your cake, open your oven, pull out the rack. Yeah, I can see it already. The middle's not done. So, yeah, it came out gooey, so it's obviously not done, and I'm going to say it probably needs another 10 minutes. So no, we are not going to finish the frosting. I can show you how to mix it though. Here's what I'm going to do is show people how to mix the frosting and then leave mine on the stove to not get cold. And then people, when their cakes are done, they can pour the frosting on them when they come out of the oven. That I think is the best way. That way I'm not bumping Gavin's time. So you've got your melted butter in a saucepan.
And you need to wait for them to be completely cool before you ice your cake, right?
No, not on this one. That's what we've said multiple times. Normally, every other cake in the universe, you wait till it's completely cool. This cake, you must put the icing on it while it's hot, or the icing will not set. So this is a very strange cake that you must put the icing on while it's hot. All right, but every other cake in the planet, you never do that, ever. Okay?
Sorry, I missed that. I was busy putting in for credits.
No worries.
So we had a question come in on Discord. What types of fundraisers work best in our kingdom, the CK? While you're showing us how to put the frosting together.
The ever popular pie in the face seems to be pretty standard. Sorry, I'm getting my tablespoon. All right, my tablespoon was wet, so I need to find my paper towels, and I don't know where they went. But I'm just gonna wipe it on my very clean dish rag, okay, or dish towel.
Not your work tunic.
Not my tunic. So we're gonna take 6. The recipe calls for 4 or 6. I always use the 6. It makes the icing just a little bit more chocolatey, and I like chocolate. So again, I level it on the edge of my Hershey cocoa container. The pie in the faces tend to work really well.
Fundraisers. We're going back to the fundraisers.
People have a lot of fun with that, especially when you get someone who's, I don't know, really hated, really popular.
So for those of you who don't know what pie in the face is that we auction off pies, the right to put a pie into someone's face. And then we did 1 year a counter bid where the person who was getting pied could bid to then take that pie and put it in someone else's face. And
right, that was fun.
Yeah, that's when Dawn and I pied each other. It was
okay. So this is why you don't chat while you're cooking. I put in 4 tablespoons of cocoa. It is 4 teaspoons of cocoa.
Well, you said you liked it extra chocolatey. Okay,
well, that's gonna kill people. No, that's gonna be too. All right, I love you guys. I'm gonna take this pan, dump it out, and add another stick of butter. Yeah, I normally don't talk to people while I'm cooking. I don't drink while I'm cooking either. I have found out the hard way. If I have a glass of wine while I'm cooking, dinner comes out messed up. So I'm gonna laugh at myself. This happens to everyone. Reading carefully, dump out this mess, and do it again.
All right, so Starshine, it should have been 4 teaspoons. Well, 6 because she's doing it extra chocolatey. Teaspoons of cocoa powder into the melted butter for frosting, as opposed to tablespoons, which is what she was using because I made her talk. All right, so while Surreal fixes the frosting mess, her time will likely come up as done. We'll see her again either toward the tail end of Sir Gavin's presentation or right at the very beginning of Ayanka's presentation.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to finish. I'm so sorry, y'all.
She just messed up.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead.
No, it happens to everybody. Everybody messes up. Everybody does. So,
Yes, and I'm wondering what if I should just wait with mine or if I should continue.
What you're gonna do, Sunshine, is that you have the butter. I'm sorry, what? Starshine, right? Is it Sunshine or Starshine? Okay, Starshine. You're gonna have your butter and your cocoa. You mix that with 6 tablespoons of milk.
Teaspoons.
No.
Wait, teaspoons of cocoa powder.
Listen, 6 teaspoons of cocoa. 6 tablespoons milk. Okay? 6 teaspoons cocoa, 6 tablespoons milk, and a box of powdered sugar, which is 3.5 cups. If you don't, Walmart sells it in the bag, so I have to measure it out. But our standard box of powdered sugar has 3.5 cups. So again, it's 1 stick butter, 6 teaspoons cocoa, 6 tablespoons milk, 1 box of powdered sugar.
Or 3.5 cups.
Or 3.5 cups if you can't get it in the box. Like, yeah. So Walmart sells it in a big bag, so I have to measure it out.
Now, I had all my stuff laid out before, and I did not see the powdered sugar. So I am going to leave and go get powdered sugar. I too messed up.
Like I said, like 10 minutes before I started cooking, it was a good 15 minutes. I was making sure I was getting out all my ingredients, and I had forgotten, I have a lot of this in my head, and I had read through it, and I had forgotten I needed milk for the icing, and I had to go to the Stripes in the corner to grab a gallon of milk. So I was like, okay. But yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry. Don't ask me.
We'll see the finished cakes. We'll see the finished cake later on in the afternoon. So stay tuned. Coming up in the next few minutes, we have Sir Gavin, who will be talking about feasts. So we're going to continue the food thing. His presentation is For Your Food Hole, talking about how to do feasts of different sizes. So if you're watching us on YouTube, stay tuned. The live stream is going to cut off, and then we'll be back on in a few minutes. If you're here joining us on Discord, in just a moment, it'll be open rain while I frantically get set up for the next one.
Okay, so I'm going to turn off my screen, all right?
Yeah, you can turn off your video.